Yo folks, welcome to the channel. In today's video, we'll be going over my top 10 concerns with Honkai Star Rail. Just note these concerns are based off the closed beta, so things can change. And I've been playing the game for 40 plus hours in order to really iron out my thoughts. Also, there's going to be a link in the description in case you guys want to pre-register and enjoy Honkai Star Rail in the future. So, first concern for everyone is probably going to be the gacha system. Let's talk about it. What are the rates like? 2.2% chance in order to get a 5-star character, or light cone, which is going to be the weapon system within Honkai Star Rail, and it also depends on the banner that you're going to be pulling on. But before we get into that, what's the pity system like? It's going to be after 90 pulls, you are guaranteed a 5-star source depending on the banner, or warp as they would call it in Honkai Star Rail, that you pull on. So let's talk about the first banner that I feel like most people are going to be wondering about, which is the on-rate character banners, where you're guaranteed a limited edition or limited 5-star character. So Sealy specifically is really strong. She's going to be someone that everyone recommends in my opinion, because she has the ability to attack twice, but that's not a concern. The concern is, what are the likelihoods of me getting a Sealy on the first 90 pulls? So on the first 90 pulls, you have a 50% chance to get her, and of course it's going to be 2.2% rates, 0.6% rates to be specific to get Sealy, and then 1.6% chance to get a 5-star character based off of the pool on the limited banner. So what does that entail? After the first 90, random 5-star could be Sealy. On the second 90, you are guaranteed Sealy. That is 100% for sure if you did not get her the first time, and you are not going to be getting a 5-star light cone or weapon. You are guaranteed a character 100% for sure. And yeah, that's going to be that specific banner. Am I concerned with like the 2.2% rates in the 50-50 system? Overall, it's going to be just another average sort of thing. I don't like it if you want that opinion, but at the same time, if they give away a bunch of codes, there's lots of summons and everything, then I feel like people will be pretty happy, and I'll be pretty happy. And another thing to note, that on-rate character banners, they do use a separate currency from the regular banner, but just note there's an overall currency that can be used to be spent on, the regular banner currency. So either way, you're going to be winning because you can choose what to spend on. Another thing to note is there's going to be a 50 pity banner, and the 50 pity banner, there's not going to be like Sealy and stuff, but there's going to be Bailu, Welt, and other characters who are really good, and that's going to be the banner that you should be focusing on when you first get into the gacha system and going through the game, because 50 pity is going to guarantee you that 5-star much easier than, maybe getting Sealy, because 50 summons is just easier to obtain than 90, and you're not even guaranteed a Sealy. Overall, that should be your focus, and there are light cones, but you won't get a guaranteed 5-star light cone, which is really nice. I recommend going for Bailu because she's going to be the support that everyone needs. Now, the last banner that you should be concerned with is going to be the 300 selector. Now, some of you might be like, oh my gosh, 300, is that the amount to pity? No, wrong. That is not going to be happening, okay? I just want to keep that out of your mind. The 90 pity system is still enabled on the 300 selector. The only difference between this banner and the other banners is that, one, the regular banner, which is the 300 selector, is going to be using regular currency. Same thing with the 50 pull guaranteed banner, that is also going to be using like the regular pulls. I just want to really point that out, Cone. And you really shouldn't be focusing on the 300 selector, just because that 300 selector is used for extra summons that you have on the side, because you get a bunch of regular summons. This is why the summons are separated out, and the 300 selector only occurs one time. So after you summon 300 times on that banner, it disappears forever. And in case you didn't get Bailu, that should be a guaranteed form to get her. But in my opinion, your focuses should be on the 50 selector or the on-rate character, because Sealy is just going to be really good for single target DPS, and she's going to be the strongest DPS most likely at the start of the game. All that being said, gacha system, am I concerned with it? Yeah, a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's gacha. It's all depending on your luck, so your mileage will vary at the end of the day. So let's talk about the gameplay. Is it fair? Is it fun? What does it feel like? First things is the key binds, or the keyboard settings. I'm going to talk about that specifically because each skill is tied to a specific key. For example, your ultimates are 1, 2, 3, 4. Your basic attack is your Q, and then you can use your E, which is going to be your technique. All that matters is there's a huge necessary tactile feel with the keyboard bindings and the way you're going through the turn-based combat. And if you get really good with it, then it almost feels like an arcade, fighting game because of how fast you can go through the skills. At first, I'm gonna be honest with you, it was slow. The tutorial was very concerning for me in particular because it took like an hour plus to get through it, and after that you unlock 2x speed. Of course, there is no, skip feature within the cutscenes. That might be a concern for some people, but overall you should be enjoying like the story with Honkai Star Rail. But I'm getting too ahead of myself. Let's jump back into the gameplay. Is the elemental system complicated? Just note there's 7 elements. There's no triangle like fire beats water or anything like that. Enemies are weak to maybe 3 or 4 like elements, or whatever you want to call them. And at the end of the day, everything's going to be on full display, so you don't have to remember like weakness charts or anything. So it's very simple in that sense. And the gameplay is very robust because you can be using fire, ice, and physical, and then imaginary, right? And all these things combined, you don't have to use just a straight up fire team. That is going to be the wrong thing to do. And I love the diversity within the gameplay, whether you build more of an AoE team, a more single DPS team, or you're going to be building more of a tank team. It depends on the gameplay. There doesn't seem to be a punishment system on tanking when it comes to the story mode, but definitely in some portions, there are going to be highlights of like, hey, you should really beat this fast on like the Forgotten Path like gameplay mode, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So overall, I really like the turn-based combat. I highly recommend it for folks. Is this going to be, not for turn-based fans? That might be a concern for you. You don't like turn-based whatsoever. I think if you build the correct teams, you're going to have a lot of fun. And I think it's a little bit more complex in the sense because the gear systems, it not just increase attack or increase speed. There's going to be caveats where you can generate more energy for ultimates, and you can interrupt the characters or bosses' attacks based off of, when you break them and when you cast your ultimate. It's a very nitty gritty, and I greatly enjoy it. So, look out after 3 to 5 hours, maybe judge after that, I would say. Another thing is there going to be PvP, because some people, mostly PvE fans, but some people also like PvP. There's no PvP within the betas as of I know, and I am not sure if there's going to be any implementation of it. Is that a concern of mine? Personally, my main concern is PvE. That is actually a thing, because I want there to be more multiplayer facets. Multiplayer facets within Honkai Star Rail will really make it shine. Because it's a turn-based RPG, there's less ways to implement that sort of gameplay. There is going to be dungeons where you can bring a support character, you can have a friend, maybe they have a 5-star ceiling and you don't have it, and they can really help you out. That's one way, but you're not really chatting and interacting with them. That could change within, the full release of the game, or maybe we have like really crazy like PvE bosses, which I would absolutely love. But the multiplayer facet of Honkai Star Rail is my biggest concern. Enveloping it in a meaningful way is one thing I would really like to see. But outside of that, no issues, because no PvP, you can't really be concerned with something that doesn't exist. And then PvE, it could be improved upon in my opinion. Another thing is, do I need to play Honkai Impact 3rd in order to enjoy Honkai Star Rail? The answer is no, because it's a multiverse. Just think of Honkai Star Rail as a different universe from the Honkai Impact 3rd. And just like how Genshin is a different universe from, Honkai Impact 3rd, but the Honkai is still present. So in Honkai Star Rail, you have like completely different lore. There's the Aeon. You'll also have familiar faces from Honkai Impact 3rd, and they'll be operating in a different personality. And one thing to note is that you will get more out of the lore and more familiarity with Honkai Star Rail if you played Honkai Impact 3rd. Essentially, it's just icing on the cake if you played Honkai Impact 3rd, is all I want to say. But another concern for people, of course, is this game going to be rerollable? From my experience, it takes maybe an hour if you're going really slow, watching every single cutscene in order to reroll the game. I think you could speed it up if you're ignoring certain enemy types and everything to 20 minutes at the fastest, 25, and then it could take as long as 40 minutes to reroll. But just note, reroll is going to be possible, and it's just based off of your patience at the end of the day. But let's get into the things. Is this going to be good in mobile? Because my concern with the other like Hoyoverse games is my fingers are too fat in order to go through like quick movements. And with Honkai Star Rail, it just seems like the UI on the PC is made for mobile as well. You have big giant circles in order to click on the techniques and everything. And that just means like everything is translatable and it's going to be easy to play. So don't be worried, mobile fans. You are definitely heard in this particular game. And another concern might be dailies and weeklies. Are those going to be easy to achieve? From what I've experienced since I had Himeko, my dailies would breeze within 5 to 10 minutes depending on what dailies I got. It was super easy, and the weeklies that I got, I would just use an AoE team and I would pop them really fast. And then, sometimes I use a single target DPS team in order to really slam the bosses as fast as possible. So your mileage, of course, will vary. It all depends on which characters you pull. And just note, I was using Don Hong, a free character, and he was decimating everything. Herta was a free AoE character and she was decimating everything. Kuru was something I heard multiple times, but it was the welcome sound in order to decimate everything, like I keep saying. Now, another thing will be, is this going to be an overhyped game? That might be a concern with people. Is this a cash grab, so to speak? The main storyline is all voice acted. The side storylines involving main characters, such as like Natasha, like a doctor and stuff, they're going to be voice acted as well. There's going to be cutscenes in them as well. There's going to be puzzles and mini games. Everything in Honkai Star Rail, as far as like main stuff goes and side story activities, they are very cohesive, and it just feels additions that are really welcome. There are going to be side quests that are not voice acted. There's going to be systems that seem to be like put in, but nothing feels it's not needed, so to speak. Everything feels cohesive at the end of the day. So to me, it's not a cash grab, but some concerns will be this going to last forever. I want to say that this is a turn-based RPG. Whether you think it's going to last a couple years or it's going to last a couple months, it's entirely based, of course, of how you view the game and how you like this sort of style. And I think it's just a welcome entrant because there is no turn-based RPG that I can think of that is in the 3D format that dominates the space. Of course, there's going to be other games that are good at what they do, but Honkai Star Rail is a really nice entrance into this space, and I think it could be something refreshing. Those are just my thoughts when it comes to that concerns of if it's going to fall flat on its face. Now, one concern, of course, people might have is, why would I play this over Genshin or Honkai Impact 3rd? Well, the reason why you would play Honkai Star Rail, to sum things up, is that it's just a little bit faster to me when it comes to dailies, weeklies, and just the daily grind. It's just going to be easier to play because when I was trying to play the other games in my settings in my real life, it was just a little bit hard to run around in the overworld. With Honkai Star Rail, you just go through like the diaries, click like the thing that you want to grind, and it's just really fast and easy. I don't have to run around as much. Whether you like that or not, that is completely based off of personal preference. But to me, that was insanely preferable. So yeah, that is my answer as to why you would play Honkai Star Rail over Genshin. It's just things are a bit more efficient because it's in that turn-based format, because it's in a more concise setting in order to get through the bits of daily actions, which we already sort of covered within the dailies. But anyways, let's go over the simple things. My main concern, is it fun? Is it something that everyone can get into? And my first answer will be to Honkai Star Rail is give it a chance, and yes. And that's mostly because the lore here is extra thick. There's 12 different factions, 12 different gods. The path of destruction is so fun to see how they justify destroying everything in order to make it like that's the best way for the universe to operate. There's gonna be like the genius factions where everyone's just a schnob. And then there's also going to be like the path of abundance where it's all about healing and taking care of people like Natasha. And some people are like, yo, that's too much of a charity. And I just love the interactions between side characters and main characters because the side characters, they definitely have an opinion. They really don't like some things. And I just really like that. So the story setting, the gameplay, everything just feels like a complete package. I think my main concern, if I were to sum things up, is the gacha system could definitely use some work, whether you increase the rates or provide more pulls. I think that's going to be the answer to alleviate that. And of course, the tutorial phases, that's a big concern because it just, to me, an hour is too long for some people with their attention span to get into the gameplay. I feel like if you can make it like maybe 15-20 minutes, then you can get straight into pulling characters and just go faster with like the turn-based, or at least implement 2x speed a little bit faster. That way you can just enjoy the gameplay a little bit faster because gameplay in some people's eyes is the most important thing. And my final concern, of course, is the multiplayer facets. Please include those things because personally, I don't see enough multiplayer situations within Honkai Star Rail. There's a lot of puzzles, there's a lot of like dynamics within characters like I talked about, but the multiplayer is like the one thing where I just want to see more endgame PvE bosses that would have people actually work together to tackle this event. Something like that would be really cool. But of course, there's unlimited gameplay with the simulated universe. The Forgotten Path is really cool with like sort of its tower modes and, you know, getting like the best rates by killing the units or bosses in the fastest ways. There's a bunch of content within Honkai Star Rail already. So I'm excited. I'm hoping it's going to be releasing relatively soon. But yeah, those are my concerns. Everything summed up in a nice little package for you. Anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, consider subscribing, dropping a like, leaving a comment, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram if you want to see what I do, IRL, cons, and all that stuff. But thanks so much for watching. Once we have 40k subs, we're doing a giveaway. And have yourself a fantastic day. See you guys in the next one.